this thing can play old Genesis cartridges. There's also a complete retro game system. It sounds too good to be true. HDMI on the back, power adapter. So this is 720p HD. And there are two traditional controller ports. If you happen to have Sega Genesis controllers lying around, you have to plug into this. The two that come with it, these are wireless. Now they don't look exactly like the original Sega Genesis controllers, and they don't feel like it. This keypad is super overclocked. These buttons feel pretty hollow in place. There's also a third button here. There's start, menu, and rewind. It says game rewind, so not just save games, but back up while you're playing the games. The game rewind. That sounds great. Is that going to work really well? We'll have to see. And there's also player 1, player 2 toggle up here, so I'll try that out. And we'll see how the wireless works, whether you have to be in direct range or not with these. So there are two controllers. Open them up here and you'll be able to pop the batteries in. No, you can't just open them up. You have to unscrew. So bring a screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, and you can exchange the batteries. There's the Sega Genesis flashback. Here is an HDMI cable that comes with it. And there is the power adapter. So that's all that's in the box. Plus this commemorative egg crate. So that's Sega Genesis flashback. Now, you could actually plug in old Genesis games with what you have lying around. Here's Aladdin. And you should be able to pop this in to play your games in HDMI. So that's how Sega Genesis flashback looks, but how does it actually play? Well, we're going to get to that soon. We're going to play as many of these games as we can with as many people as we can. Sonic, Phantasy Star, Golden Axe, and no Streets of Rage. So stay tuned on CNET.com. My first game system was the Atari 2600. I had a lot of retro game systems. So this has HDMI, can play 720p. Not that Atari games are high resolution, but you can connect it to your TV more easily. There are 120 games in this. There are a pair of wireless controllers, and you can save, resume, and rewind games. This is a lot like the Sega Genesis flashback made by the same company. So let's take a look at the box. It's got nicer packaging, and a bunch of the games are listed back here. I don't even remember a lot of these games, but there's Oink by Activision. There's Pitfall, which is awesome, so Activision games are there. Sequest, Sea Battle, Real Sports games, all of them it seems. Star Master, Sword Quest games, I remember those. Tempest, Warlords, Asteroid, so a lot of the classics. Let's take a look at what's inside the box. This is the most expensive of the flashback consoles. There are actually a couple of Atari consoles that they're selling right now. This is the only one that's HD. So you got an Atari poster. AtGames is really into putting the posters in the box, which is kind of cool. This is the Flashback 8 Gold, which has a very similar graphic design to the Sega one, with the same white grid, which I'm not so wild about. There's Pitfall, which feels like a bit of an afterthought. None of the cool Atari art that I remember that they've created great art books with. But anyway, if you want a kind of okay Atari poster, here's one with crease marks and instructions on the back. Inside the box, you've got the little Atari console. This is very small, and it doesn't, okay, this doesn't really look like an Atari console that I remember. It's like kind of with sort of wood grain that's a sticker, and a bunch of buttons. So you've got difficulty buttons, select buttons, start, power, and two authentic game controller ports. So both of these here, you can plug in old controllers if you have them, or use the wireless ones. The HDMI is on the side, which is kind of strange. So I don't know the reason for that. That's the box. It does not play cartridges, unlike the Sega Genesis flashback, so I'm sorry. But it does have a lot of games on it. You'll also get two of these old-fashioned controllers, and they're wireless. You have to unscrew this to get to the batteries, and yeah, it feels feels okay. This doesn't feel as flimsy as the Sega Genesis one. One button. This actually feels like it's easier to move than the original 2600 joystick, which was real stiff. So there's that. There's the other joysticks. It's such a strange thing to have again. And here's the AC adapter. Pretty small. In fact, it looks like the same exact AC adapter as the other Sega Genesis console. And HDMI. So that's how the hardware looks. These two wireless controllers and the console, which is pretty lightweight plastic. What's weird is that these two wireless controllers, one of them has extra buttons, the other doesn't. So if you want to be able to use the extra buttons, use the correct controller. The one that has the extra buttons has 4 on the side. These are reset, select, start, and replay, because this has game rewind. So I guess that brings up game rewind functions for all of the games. We'll have to see how that works. Other than that, it's, you know, your classic but more lightweight feeling, I think, joystick. The joystick actually feels less stiff than the original Atari 2600 joystick, but it feels really weird to be using a joystick again. Anyway, I want to have as many people playing the Atari 2600 and its games as possible. People who've never played it before, and people who've played all the games. How do they look on a giant HD TV? We'll find out. Stay tuned at CNET. We'll tell you about it.
Oculus is cutting the VR cord and working on a wireless headset. That's according to a report from Bloomberg, which says the company plans to release a $200 headset in 2018. It wouldn't need a PC or a phone to run and is supposedly more powerful than the Samsung Gear VR. At the moment, there are 2 main ways to experience VR: through a smartphone headset like the Gear VR or Daydream, and high-end platforms like the Oculus Rift that are tethered to big, beefy computers to run. So this new wireless headset could be a big deal, but there's one potential issue. According to the report, the device might lack positional tracking. That's the ability for the device to know where you are in the room. We know Oculus can do wireless and positional tracking though, because at the end of 2016, CNET tried a prototype called Santa Cruz with this very feature.
Guardian, the Fallen are bringing in their armory. Again. You'd think they'd know better by now.
Look at those caches. They never learn.
Then teach them a new lesson.
Bagged another walker. What are we up to, Sloan? 16? 60?
I stopped counting some time back. You keep racking them up.